Hi everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to another week in review. I'll give you the rundown of all the things that have happened within this past week. Not a big newsworthy week due to, the breaks in Congress, everything that's just, summer's just happening. So everybody's enjoying the time of their lives. So welcome to everyone that's on here. If you missed this, you can always catch the replay on the Instagram Live. You can catch it on my YouTube page. I have a link tree, so I have my Instagram, YouTube page on there. I have my TikTok on there, as well as my Twitter, and the link to the podcast that I'm on with two other of my fellow co-hosts. So, welcome. Here we are. So let's get into these numbers because we're still in the midst of COVID. So here it is. According to the CDC, which is the Center of Disease and Control, they still track the number of COVID cases. So on the global frontier, there were 191,922 new cases, confirmed cases of COVID-19, in the world. But cumulative cases that we have, 767,972,961 cases of COVID-19. In terms of the fatalities, we have 6,950,655. So just to run down the global numbers again, we're 191,922 new confirmed cases of COVID-19. Overall, we have 767,972. Let's repeat this number. So total cumulative, let's go back. So in terms of new cases, we have 191,922 confirmed cases of COVID-19 as new cases. Overall, we have 767,972,961. In terms of cumulative cases, we have 6,950,655. Now, in terms of the United States of America, we haven't had new cases in a while, but we still have the highest cases on the whole entire globe, and we're only 4.2% of the world's population. So our cumulative cases are at 103,436,829. In terms of our fatalities, we have 1,127,152. So again, we don't have no new cases, but we still got the highest cases. We have 103,436,829. In terms of our fatalities is 1,127,152. Now let's go to more in depth of the vaccinations. And I said it was the CDC before. Is actually the World Health Organization I've been reading the numbers for COVID cases. So COVID19.WHO.int. Now, in terms of the CDC, where I'm going to get, just in the United States alone, in terms of total hospitalizations, we have over 6 million people still hospitalized. The trend has gone down, but we still got the most people. We still got over 6 million people still in the hospital. So it's 6,202,800. And the fatalities is at 1,134,710. In terms of vaccinations, total updated, including boosters distributed, is 144,182,870. I'll post these numbers on my socials. Just a simple fact is that, we still got this thing still going on. It's still happening. I mean, it's still here. Now, in U.S. facts, is 70% of the world's population is still vaccinated. So overall people vaccinated, I just read whoever got their boosters, but who's vaccinated overall is 230,637,348. So it's a lot of numbers. So yeah, COVID is still here. So, you know, vaccinations are still free with your health insurance. Get your vaccine. You can go from the pharmacy all the way up to the hospital. You have no excuse, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's move on to bigger news. So, today, even though I said in the beginning it was not a newsworthy week, today, the Biden and Harris administration announced their plan to forgive student loans, according to CNBC article. And I'm going to read some of it. I'm not going to go too much in depth, so here it is. According to the CNBC article, Biden administration forgives $39 billion in student loans debt for more than 800,000 borrowers. The Biden administration announced it would automatically cancel education debt for 804,000 borrowers for a total of $39 billion in relief. The debt cancellation is a result of the administration fixes to repayment plans, which include updated counts of borrowers' payments. The Biden administration announced Friday it would automatically forgive $39 billion in student loan debt for 804,000 borrowers. The relief is a result of fixes to the student loan system income-driven repayment plans, also known as the RIB form. Under the repayment plans, borrowers get any debt canceled by the government after they have made payments for 20 years or 25 years, depending on when they borrowed or the loan type. In the past, payments have been moved as borrowers closer to being debt-free were not accounted for, according to the Biden administration. Far too long, borrowers fell through the cracks of broken systems and failed to keep track of progress towards forgiveness. U.S. Secretary of Education Dr. Miguel Cardona said in a statement. To bring people over the line for forgiveness, the Biden administration counted payments for borrowers who paused their payments in certain deferments and forbearances and those who have made partial or late payments. Although the forgiveness is a huge victory for borrowers, it is a relief to which they're entitled, said the deputy director of the Student Loan Borrower Protection Center. Make no mistakes, over 804,000 borrowers people are receiving student loan relief, which actually because of 804,000 failures, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. Said in a statement, working people have been made collateral damage by a dysfunctional student loan system. That includes me. The announcement comes weeks after the Supreme Court struck down President Biden's sweeping student loan forgiveness plan, which would deliver relief to 37 million people. The Education Department will notify eligible borrowers in the coming days. So that's going on. But it's a relief for student loan borrowers, including myself, who have student loan debts. And because my amount is large due to the interest that have increased over time, due to the fact that my job situations and other life situations that I had, and being in and out of jobs for the last couple years, I mean, this is a sign of relief, right? And also being in school and yada 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 yada. So this is relief for me as a student loan borrower. Well, of course, the left, did not praise this. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. This is why I don't have any type of respect for these so-called progressives, because any progressive would be happy about this incremental change. Old school progressives like my mom, my dad, other leaders will be happy about this. But because we got so many gentrified leaders that wants to burn down a system, that want to call faithful Democratic voters shills and corporate establishment, shows right then and there that they're not allies to the party. They're not allies to change. They will never be. They would just be toxic waste space at this point. And the things that they want, they don't even incorporate intersectionality. For all. For all means for whom? Because the last time I checked, for all does not apply and is not applicable to everyone. Because unfortunately, this country is built on racism. And there's even racism within the leftists, because they don't include black people into any strategic plan that they want to do. So I'm not surprised, once again, that they did not praise this from the president, because they feel like he's old and they feel like he has not fought enough. Like I said, they're wasted space. They just wasted space, period. But I'm going to go more in depth on them because I got time to read the two. Because there's two I'm going to so read. And you know who those two are. Moving right along, what does it mean for the 2024 elections? It could mean a huge deal because millennials and Gen Z are the most eligible voters right now that can possibly turn all the way out for President Biden and Vice President Harris to deliver them. It's going to be an uphill battle because we still got this disastrous Republican Party driving their freaking crazy ass message. And on top of driving their crazy ass message, you got their voters that will actually vote for them. And you got those quote unquote independent voters, those moderate voters that will swing their way, because some of them swing their way in 2022. That's why that middle of the road voter, I am very leery about, because I know they won't deliver for the Democratic Party and they're not reliable voters to the Democratic Party. At the end of the day, black people, especially black women, are reliable voters to the Democratic Party more than those suburban white moms, because that's the truth. You can explain everything to them piece by piece. They will still vote against their best interests, because that's how they operate. And they've been operating like that since 1968. Over 55 years, they've been operating that way. And they will continue to operate that way, unfortunately. You would think Roe versus Wade Roe versus Wade would sway their decision. But obviously that wasn't the case, right? Because you would have had a Governor Stacey Abrams in the South. You would have had a Governor Beto in Texas. You would have had a Governor, Charlie Crist in Florida. But instead, you got them same lame-ass Republican governors who are trying to burn everything down. So at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't trust those suburban mom voters or those voters that are quote-unquote middle of the road. I don't. Hi there, cousin. Shout out to my cousin. In terms of the GOP, you see, they're a hot mess. It's a crowded field. It's almost like the Democratic field 4 years ago. But the difference is Democrats actually have something to campaign on, like things to do for the American people, versus the Republican Party. It's anti-progression. While Democrats are running on policy issues, and we do have policy differences, but implementation differences, but we don't have policy. Let's just say Democrats are, yes, the Democratic Party, we do our little infighting here and there. But the difference between the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party, we don't agree on the implementation, but we agree on the damn policy and to help the American people. Versus the Republican Party, all they do is fight amongst each other. They're anti-democracy. anti-progression, anti-wokeness. They keep using that word woke, which I hate when they use it. And they use it in the most egregious and disgusting way. And they just not, their policies don't uplift the people. They want to invoke the Bible, and they use the Bible in the most wrong, negative way. Because if Jesus was around, he would not be down for that. I'm just saying. So, the Republican Party is a continuous mess. They are. I'm looking at my notebook. But in terms of the Democratic primaries, Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, was on Caitlin Collins' show, basically sounding like a pro-Russian person. I have a clip of it. He's a mess. He sounds a mess. You know, this is why people like Dr. West and many others in the Green Party have no business running, not just only for president, but for any office in this country, because they're nothing but disruptors and chaos agents. And it's the truth. They have no knowledge of how this government and policy work. They campaign on outrage and stupidity, because that's the truth. You can ask Howie Hawkins. You can ask Dr. Jill Stein, who's still out in hiding because she was part of, the whole Russian collusion, because she was. And now this bum, what's his name? Dr. Cornel West. So they're nothing but basket cases. Yeah, Tanya. Oh my girl. Yeah, that MFer. That MFer. That dirty, same sweater, jacket wearing ass mother. Yes. I say that. Like, it's like he doesn't wear no other color. It's like his hair is like all filthy. He look like he haven't used any mouthwash. Even though there's a lot of people don't have the perfect teeth. But damn it. Make sure your breath smells good before you go on camera. Make sure you wash your face before you go on camera. That's all I'm saying. Hey, cousin. So, yeah. So, now I'm sequencing. Speaking of more stupidity. So, I have screenshots for days when it comes to these particular people. So, I want to start off with Nina Hudson Turner of Ohio. Because, I have to start off with her first. And this is her. Cancel student debt every penny. Literally. That's her tweet. That is her goddamn tweet. Now the other person, Brianna Joy Gray. So this is her talking crap. Here we go.
Student debt. I took out the full amount for law school because who else was going to pay for it? And the entire world said, Brianna, go to the best school you can. Get the best education you can. You can become a lawyer and make lots of money and give back to your community and do all these things. Black people don't work hard, but you can muscle through and you can be the talented 10th. And all of this crap was the stuff that was fed to me. So I took out the full $160,000 to go to law school. The first year, I was obliged to pay it back. I was lucky enough to graduate and get a job at a firm where I could afford my loan payments. They were $2,300 a month. And the first year, I got my little tax form telling me how much I had paid principal versus interest. I had paid about $18,000 in interest and about $5,000 to the principal. When I saw that, I fell to my knees and started sobbing in my studio apartment.
Feeling you get when you see how much you're actually not paying on the principal because of interest, it's like someone's kicking you on your inside. And it's infuriating.
So excuse me if $10,000 wouldn't even cover barely half of my first year's interest payment.
It's crazy.
And there are a ton of, like, obviously I'm a less sympathetic case. Obviously I have always had relative means, but the idea of ever being able to be a journalist and like leave the firm, it was miserable. I hated it, and I was hurting people. And I felt like I couldn't leave. Right. Because who else was going to pay a 27-year-old enough money?
You know what's kind of like
the privilege, right? The privilege. You speaking with white women and a white adjacent person. The privilege. You can afford your payments back then. It's more stuff. Because I got receipts on this girl for days. If I were a black student debtor, I would not simply vote for Joe Biden. Oh, wait, I am. She was being sarcastic because she's not voting for Joe Biden. I mean, she didn't vote for Joe Biden, obviously. Oh, she didn't even say anything about today. She said not a goddamn thing today. And you know what? It's good to keep your goddamn mouth shut. So, Brianna and Nina. You know, for the last about 3 or 4 years or so, maybe 7, you guys have been running your mouths about the Democratic Party not doing anything for black people, not doing anything for the American people. And now you have a Democratic president, a Democratic administration that's actually working hard for the American people. The first 2 years of this administration, we had 3 branches of government. We had, we actually had 2, because the other branches all jacked up. We actually had, let's see, the House, the Senate, and of course the presidency. There was a lot more that we could have done. Yes, a lot more we could have done, but we did it. We did what we can. We passed the American Rescue Plan. We passed the infrastructure bill, even though some of your progressive colleagues didn't support it. We addressed the baby formula shortage. We canceled $11 billion in loans before this $39 billion that was announced today. There's a lot of things that we have done. Restore our reputation around the world. So we have done that. So, Brianna and Nina, for all the years, last couple of years, you have been touting, cancel student loan debt. Cancel the debt right now. The administration has announced they're canceling $39 billion in student loans for over 800,000 student loan borrowers. And I haven't heard not a goddamn thing from your mouths. So are you really for canceling student loan debt, or you're doing this performative, progressive clout chasing? Which one is it? Because people who really cared about canceling student loans will actually retweet the president's tweet and thank the president. Instead, you guys were crickets. You didn't say not a goddamn thing. So this is why I always put the quotations on progressives like y'all, because you're not real progressives. You guys are nothing but chaos agents and Russian plants. You guys are chaos agents. You're not real progressives at all. So within that said, you guys are frauds. And that goes for Ryan Knight. It goes for David Sirota. It goes for all you knuckleheads on the left. Cristobal, Cenk Uygur, which I think you're still a Republican. Anna Kasparin. You guys are frauds. You guys are not for the Biden and Harris administration. You're not for this president and this vice president at all. It shows. And we all knew that. We all knew that. And you guys are not progressives. I knew that. I called you guys progressive in quotations. Gentrify progressives. That's what y'all are. That's what y'all. So that was my rant about them. Now, I got something to say about this Republican Party. Because I know I said what I said about the Republican Party earlier. But I want to be clear with everybody. Because I've been accused of being a whole ass racist. Like as if I'm the majority of the population. But I digress. Everything I say about Republican voters is a fact. It's true. Since 1968, the majority of white people in this country have been voting for Republicans. That's 55 years of voting for Republicans. We had more Republican presidents within the last 55 years than Democratic presidents. Since 1968, we only had about, 4 Democratic presidents, including the current president. It's the truth. Within the last 55 years. Because we had Carter, Clinton, Obama, now Biden. Within the last 50-something years, we had Nixon, Ford, Reagan, Bush 41, Bush 43, and the bum. That's 6 Republican presidents. And out of those 6 Republican presidents, 2 or 3 of them have served a 2-term presidency. And during their tenure, they have basically messed up things for this country. If they didn't mess up things domestically, they mess up things internationally. Some of you may disagree on what I'm saying, but it's true. Because every American that goes outside this country, some of them, get looked at a certain way. Because of those 6 Republican presidents that created a reputation for us as if we look down on the small people. Because it's the truth. But I'm here to say, and I'm going to be candid with this, and honest and open. I am more than right to criticize the Republican voter. Why? Because the same Republican voter don't vote in their best interest. The same Republican voter vote for the oppressor. They vote for the person that is not going to bring change, that is not going to unite the country, that is not going to heal the country, and put out policies that hurt different communities in this country, such as Black people, brown people. That includes the Latino community, the Asian community, AAPI community, the indigenous community, and the LGBTQ+. And we've seen it within the last 40 something years, per se, that the Republican Party has shifted more extreme. And it happened with Donald Trump. It happened under Ronald Reagan, Bush 41, Bush 43, and that bum. They've been shifting so extreme that they will go extreme to hurt the small person. Reaganomics hurt and still is hurting Americans. One of the reasons why we have systemic racism within our institutions. And why I'm going on about this? Because the same Republican voter keeps voting for this nonsense. And this is to the fellow white women, the 53%, 55, 57, close to 60% that keeps voting for this shit. You need to ask yourself why there are hardly any protections when it comes to women's reproductive health. Why the LGBTQ plus community has keep getting constantly attacked, especially the trans community. Why Black women are having a tough time getting the care they need at the hospital. Why the Latino community are being ostracized when it comes to the immigration and trying to seek asylum in this country. Why the Asian community has been attacked because of COVID. I want you white women to ask yourselves why this keeps happening and why you keep going to that goddamn booth and putting in that circle for the Republican Party. So the next time, when the next election comes and when you go in that voting booth, you need to think before you cast your vote. Because if you keep voting the same way, this country will not progress and you will be the reason why it won't progress. And no, I'm not attacking all white women. So we can cut that bullshit out right then and right there. So if you're mad that I'm saying this, then maybe this video, this live, is not for you. And let me just also be clear. As a voter, a faithful voter, I refuse to educate and to sit with a person, and that includes some people in my own family, that supported a person who said Mexicans are drug dealers and rapists, who said they were good people on both sides, and that includes racist neo-Nazis, who call African nations and the country of Haiti a shithole country. Let's see. Call the coronavirus Kung Flu and the China virus. I refuse to sit and reconcile with people, including people in my own family, that supported a person who said this stuff for the last 4 years. I will not sit with you. I will not eat dinner, and I will not hold hands with you. So no, I am not befriending a former MAGA or a Republican that voted for MAGA and now have seen the light. It's not happening. So I'm going to part my words on that because I'm a real one. Until then, you have a good night.